So I've just uncovered some new information which suggests that Bitcoin is about to make a big move, and it's a rapid uptick that we've seen within the open interest. So in today's show, we're going to have a look at how this move is brewing and how long it may take for Bitcoin to actually reach that $85,000 mark. So smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get straight into the show content. If you have a look over here at the banter bubbles, I mean, the picture still looks very much the same, right? Domination from the meme coin sector. Is there anything that's not meme coin related that's really running well? Probably just ENA, WorldCoin. These are some of the more traditional coins that are running over here. But the main thing that I wanted to cover today is if you look at this recent spike up over here in the BTC futures open interest, this shows you something massive is brewing. We first identified this a couple of days ago when we're actually having a look at what was taking place with specifically Ethereum, when we saw the uptick in Ethereum. And I thought today, let's have a look at Bitcoin. And this just occurred right now. So if we zoom in, this is an open interest uptick that's actually now taking out the highs that we saw when Bitcoin topped out in March around that $74,000 region. So ultimately, this suggests that there is a big move that's about to occur. It could mean either a major breakout towards the upside or one more flush towards the downside. Either way, you should mentally prepare yourself for incoming volatility. So we can use several other factors to determine which way this may actually go and compare how things looked back in March to try and get a sense for where we're at within this current price action. So I thought let's have a deeper look over here at under the hood of what's happening between the CVD futures spot as well as the open interest and the funding rates with the liquidation levels all during that time period. So here it is, Bitcoin topped out at this time period, price-wise obviously consolidating towards the downside. And now we've started to see a notable shift that's taking place. Ever since March over there, if you look at this, the orange line over here is your Bitcoin spot selling that took place at set in the top there and pretty much was down only from that point. We saw the same thing with the futures traders over here coming towards the downside. And then now you can see that open interest uptick, right? This is showing a significant divergence in price. The difference over here is that the funding rates are still relatively low because the market is coming off a relatively cool period where the majority of the market feel reluctant to take leverage long positions. Because if you look to the left over here where my cursor is, when the open interest is all the way up at these levels over here, which we're now higher than current levels, you can see that the funding rates were extremely positive, right? So this suggests a divergence is taking place over here. And it may be that the funding rates are slowly going to catch up, which are going to be late longs that are going to enter the market right upon the breakout. And that's usually where you see those explosive moves. Retail will catch a little bit of a bid, but it's probably going to be short-lived. And then after that, they're going to be flushed down. So that's my quick take. And part of the reason why is we can also have a look at this, right? The Coinbase app ranking. This tells a very valuable story. If you look at the Coinbase app ranking as of 3 hours ago, well, you can see that it's currently sitting at 431 on the app ranking list over there. So it's been dropping down significantly. And this is to compare, if you look at Miles' tweet over here, in March, when Bitcoin was at that $72,000 region, it was sitting at an app ranking of 20, right? So from 20 now all the way down to about 440, price almost the same. Retail isn't back, and that's why maybe this rise in open interest is actually smart money, right? These could be whales that are starting to bid. A vast majority of that is actually recently coming from Binance, but we know that the Bitfinex guys are the smart ones to track, and you can see they've been buying up ever since the pretty much the lows that occurred recently, right? So very interesting stuff to look at over there. We can look for additional supporting evidence to see is new money coming into the market, and we can do that by looking at the total cryptocurrency market cap, which has broken the downsloping trend line. You have, of course, your major lows over here. That's the wick low. I've taken it more conservatively on a closing basis. So you had the low there. You had a new lower close over there. So I've labeled this as the major low, and now you have your first high low in the making, breaking that downsloping trend line, and consequently you're looking for this to hold and a markup into the top of the range high. What that simply means is in combination with this, right, if we put all of this on again in combination with the rise over here in open interest, we expect that it should be backed by real money coming into the market, and that is indicative to be the case, right? It's showing it's the case because you've broken the downsloping trend line, you've started to reverse that trend with high highs and high lows, showing that the total cryptocurrency market cap is moving towards the upside. Now, the important thing to understand is that a lot of people will fade this next move, right? Meaning they'll bet against it. So when this moves up into the range high region at about 2.5 trillion, you'll probably pause there temporarily. When I say temporarily, it could be a matter of, anywhere between 3 to 4 months. So it could be a couple of weeks. And then you're likely in the new year to lead into an explosive move. So it depends how quick we move into that region and how long we consolidate to determine how fast Bitcoin could get to that $85,000 level. I'm going to outline something that showed a lot of information using the stochastic RSI, which shows you how quickly the risk comes back into the market. But in alignment with this, do we have supporting evidence that new money is flowing in? And if we look at this, the answer is yes, right? The daily exchange volume is continuing to tick towards the upside. This is your 7-day moving average over here. And overall, this is very, very healthy. You want to see this at this point in the market cycle. We can also look at the stablecoin market cap. And as Don Crypto Trade says over here, the market has been consolidating, but the stablecoin supply has been growing at a very steady pace, right? It's now sitting well over 160 billion combined. Might not be getting all deployed at once because there's probably a lot of people sidelined, right, waiting for clarity and confirmation. Maybe they're waiting for the elections to finish to determine, or at least to see what's happening at the polls and what the probability is of a crypto-friendly president winning, right? Of course, that's going to be Trump. We know that Trump is the crypto-friendly president. At least that's what he labeled himself. Whether he is a wolf in sheep's clothing is a whole nother story, right? We won't get into any of the politics for that matter. At the end of the day, I personally believe the results don't actually matter. Prices will go up irrespective because the cycles are more important, right? The way these crypto cycles work. So, but this is the mentality of a lot of other people, right? Sideline people may be waiting for better, at least confirmations because they hate uncertainty, right? So they're going to be waiting for things like that. And we're going to also have a look at that, how the elections could potentially mark a Bitcoin dominance top when Trump does, or if Trump does get elected, I should say, could mark a Bitcoin dominance top, bringing the degens back into the space because they know that their bags will be safe, right? They can start to allocate aggressively. Now, the funding rate heat map is also still very, very, at least, healthy when it comes to looking for new long positions. So not too late, right? In comparison to, of course, what did actually happen over here when the open interest was previously at those highs, and we did set in the top the prior time. And if you go back to this over here, and we can actually have a look at it, then where exactly was the funding rates? The funding rates were over here, right? That's where the top was set. So these are the small divergences, the little nuances that you need to look for when it comes to trying to predict the next major move for the market. Fear and greed is relatively high, right, at 71, but it's not surprising to me personally. I'm surprised that it actually wasn't at this level last week when it was so obvious that this move was about to take place. So we'll see. That can remain there for very, very long periods of time. If you have a look over here, look at the little histogram, the blue bars over here, you can see how high that fear and greed index remained while prices were pushing from these low regions all the way down here, $38,000 up to the 74K region, right? You remained in that high fear and greed for long. Here's another viewpoint, right? Let's go to the 60 to 70 and the 70 to 80 on the fear and greed index, having a look back period from 2019 on Bitcoin. And you can see you can remain in that period for long periods of time. And this can often lead to those big parabolic advancements, right? So don't be too fearful when you see the greed sitting at those levels. It can stay there for very, very long periods of time. Okay, we also have support from low volatility over here on the Bollinger Band with percentile, which is still contracting on the weekly time frame, whereas the 5-day time frame is showing an early sign that it's looking for expansion right here. Right now, it's starting to move towards the upside. You choose which time frame you want to use. The daily is already expanding with full confirmation that this move is actually happening. So food for thought. You probably want to have some exposure into the market, especially when the monthly time frame looks like that, right? If this were a 5-minute chart, would you be long or short? Please tell me in the comments. would you be long or short, right? You have previous resistance, looks like flipping it into support. I mean, this would be an absolute screaming long for me personally, with the stop loss below that wick, which means that your high time frame invalidation, right? If you come back below that wick over there, everything begins to change. We shouldn't come anywhere near there. Things should start to rally. If you want to learn more about this, guys, remember we are taking signups now for Whale School. This is for the 10th cohort. I can't believe it. 60 to 70,000 people have already completed this course. What an honor and a privilege. It's free, right? There we go. This course is entirely free. So please use this link in the description below. When you click that link and you go through to Whale School, there it is. You click on that Whale School link over there. It's going to open up this page. This is where you unlock your full access. Otherwise, you're only going to get access to the first 2 or 3 lessons over here if you don't unlock full access. There you go. 13 days, 5 hours left to go. Register now while you still can. And we just had Phenom from Nigeria who just unlocked full access. Welcome, Phenom. Welcome. Okay, cool. We're going to get going with that, guys. Also, if you are looking for non-KYC'd exchange when you do actually sign up and you join Whale School, because that's the only pretty much gatekeeping mechanism to make sure that it's not, scammers or bots that are coming in that are going to try scam the community. You have to actually sign up to an exchange. If you do sign up to Blowfin, well, you'll automatically be entered into this competition, right? Firstly, you're getting 10% cash back on your futures deposits. And then based on your trading volume, you can win a whole bunch of prizes, anything from AirPods to over here, you have Nintendo Switches, the new iPhone, MacBook Pro, Apple Vision Pros, and then even a Rolex, right? So use the link in the description below for Blowfin. It is all there, non-KYC'd exchange. That means you don't have to give your personal details, right? Just your email address, and that is it. And then let's continue, right? So I said, based on this chart over here, right, you probably want to have exposure in the market. Here's the reasons why. Things move quick, right? Pretty much things move quick. TechDev says the current mix of technicals and sentiment has primed the next vertical leg up, right? When mass attention does arrive, it will happen very, very quick. And I 100% agree. Only 30 days are responsible actually for 99% of Bitcoin's gains over the past 10 years, right? It's the sideline late arrival taxation, and it's very steep. So if you are sidelined, right, that is the taxation. It's the taxation. It's very, very steep tax for missing out, right? So there's a time and a place where you want to be in the market and a time and a place where you want to be out the market. Now is one of those times and places where you want to be sitting right in front of your computer and you want to have exposure into the market. You do not want to get too greedy for your lower entries, waiting for low prices when price is literally pre-expansion. And this is not my opinion, right? I'm not just basing this on thoughts and feelings. We can use a tool like this to actually see with an evidence-based approach, are we about to expand with high volatility? And according to this, the answer is yes, right? We can also look at, for example, those other things like the Coinbase app ranking. Most of the retail at this point have probably already been flushed, but they will come back. Mark my words, they're going to come back. As soon as price is above $75,000, they will return very, very quickly. So how quick can it happen? Well, we can have a look at this over here. And what I thought was interesting is we actually used the stochastic RSI over here to pretty much time that exact low. And we spoke about all the different probabilities. Do we still have those probabilities saved here? Here they are. We had 13 different reads. I don't know if you guys remember this. We went through it in detail. I really drilled it into your head for why you want to be long from the bottom over there. Out of 13 different reads, I believe it was 12 that were successful. Okay, 11 were, 12 were successful, and was it one that failed, right? There was like, oh, here it is, yeah. One that failed, the 9th one failed, right? This was the result. If you bought when the stochastic RSI had bottomed in the most critical level, I didn't just pick any willy-nilly bottom coming below into these low regions, because we've seen that a lot. I chose a very specific criteria for how low it had to get, how long it had to stay there, and when it started to turn up, and then we considered that a read. We went back in time, and what we saw was that you had major upside moves, right? Even in the presence of a bear market, you still had big moves. In a bull market, the moves were even bigger. So out of 13 reads, only one of them failed where it was invalidation and prices went lower. And I actually think that was during the COVID lows, right? That was when there was a massive COVID lockdown across the whole world. This is pretty much an unpredictable black swan event that will most likely never ever happen again, right? So I can't foresee that. Maybe another black swan event in the form of a World War III is a possibility, but in terms of shutting the whole world down like that, unlikely. So consequently, we were extremely long. Now we can use the stochastic RSI to see when will things start to mark up and how quick can this markup phase actually take place, right? And to do that, what I did is I had a look over here at the point in time. You can see over there, the point in time in the stochastic RSI starts to break back above the 80 mark, which is where most people will start to say things like overbought. It's overbought, it's overbought, it's overbought, it's time to exit the market, it's overbought. If you did that, you would get absolutely rinsed, because the answer is, as soon as it starts to cross up into this region over here, this is where your parabolic advancements happen. So again, focus on the timing factor over here between that point over there and that point over there. There it is. What happens to price? Well, price does that, right? If we go through to the next one over here, between, again, this point over here and this point over here, what happens to price? Well, you have a pretty substantial move towards the upside, right? And then again, you look at the next one, between this point over here and this point over here, what happens to price? Full on parabola towards the upside. You lead into a big reset. Again, you get into this point over here to this point over here. It leads into your secondary peak. And if we go to the more recent price action within this particular cycle, once it gets above the 80 mark from this point over here, we lead into this point over here, right? There we go. So from this point to this point, big moves start to reclaim the bottom side of the range. And we do it again, right? We get it back above the 80 mark. What happens? Price leads up into the massive rally. So with the stochastic RSI being at these lower levels over here, you're only just reclaiming the 50% level right now, which is a sign of strength, right? Generally speaking, we consider the above the 50% level, the areas where the bulls start to take control. There we go. And if you get above the 80 zone, well, that's where you expect the parabolic advancements to take place. Now, we haven't even got close to that level yet. So as you can imagine, if the stochastic RSI does start to mark up with the presence of a monthly chart that looks like this, well, there could be some very, very big moves on the table which are to come, right? So you probably, as TechDev says over here, want to be in the market for the biggest 30 days responsible for 99% of Bitcoin's gains over the past 10 years. And the stock market works in the same way, right? You can go and look at the statistics of if you miss the best 3 or 4 days, you pretty much miss out 80% of all the gains, right? So there's a time and a place to be in the market and a time and a place to be out the market. And now is one of those times and places where you probably want to be in the market as Bitcoin's above the 21 exponential moving average. We've also taken out the previous month's high over there, and we're starting to peek our head above the downsloping trend line over here, and we're about to get moving. Not only that, but we also have our bull moon, which is officially printed over there, right? So that is a good sign. Now, your most bearish case scenario, in my personal humble opinion, would be this, right? This is your most bearish case scenario, is that you chop about over here for a couple of days. If you're looking for something like this, I think it's incredibly unlikely. It's not a zero possibility. I'm not an idiot trader. I understand the probabilities and the risks. There's always a possibility of that happening, but you're talking about something like maybe a 5% possibility, right? You're talking about maybe, I would give it about a 25% possibility that you do something like this, which means 25 and 5 gives you a 30% possibility that price is not going to break out. I give it about a 70% probability that you're going to do that, right? So please be prepared, right? Be prepared for that type of an environment. And again, this is evidence-based. It's not my opinion. We're looking at the expansion of the volatility. We're looking at the timing factors, which suggest that the best performance within Bitcoin occurs during the months of October and November, and specifically the third week of October is where you can expect massive upside moves. That leads into next week while we have the presence of a bull moon, right? It makes a lot of sense. Not only that, but I'm not somebody that would counter the trend. Many have fallen on their swords countering the trend, right? Going against the trend. Remember, the trend is your friend, right? Until the end, or until the trend bends and you got a higher high, a higher low, and you have yet another higher high. So even in the 30% probability is what I've given it, that you get some sort of a pullback over here, that is yet going to be just another high low, which you probably want to buy, and you're looking for higher prices, right? So it gives you a couple of options over here. At this point over here, you know, if you're sitting in spot positions, it's probably the best place that you can be. in the event that price pulls back over here, you could theoretically, if you know what you're doing, and I have to be clear about that, only if you know what you're doing, you could take those spot positions and you could start to margin long them on a low leverage margin long to make up for some of the drawdown while still maintaining exposure in the event that it doesn't pull back and it just does that, right? This is the way that you play the market like an absolute pro. So everything is holding up above the previous month's high. We're also above the previous week's high. We have high highs and high lows. It's all looking good. It's all lining up to perfection. We've governed every single bit of this timing factor over here, and the mental fortitude of the masses has been completely worn down during this fifth correction within this bull cycle. I could almost argue and maybe label it a fourth correction. Remember, there's 7 major corrections within a bull run. Typically, that's what we've seen, right? So as price goes up, you will see at least 7 major sell-offs during those inclines, right? And I've labeled this the fifth correction, but maybe, just maybe, you could just consider that one massive long correction and consolidation. In this instance, I have this as the most conservative, which is the second and the third, because I'd rather exit the market early than leave too late by getting too greedy for higher prices. But keep in mind, let's say that this correction over here is somewhere between the fourth and the fifth correction. At the best case, it's a fourth correction. At the worst case, it's the fifth correction, which means we have 2 more major dips in the making before the cycle top comes into play. Now, we have 217 days since we made that top over here. One of the longest that we've seen is 222 days, which is just a couple of days left before we're looking at expansion, right? Not only that, but remember, we are, of course, leading into that election phase on the 5th of November, which we know is higher prices. And I told you, bookmark it, stamp it, screenshot it, repurpose it. I told you the action would take place in here, and that's exactly what's happening, right? The action has taken place within this region, and we're looking at further markup, and we're just waiting for the clearance of the top side of the range. So stock market also looking really, really strong. 19 days left to go until the election phase, and Kamala is absolutely butchering herself. She went on Fox. I mean, guys, go and have a look. You can go and have a look at the at the interviews over there. I absolutely love this tweet. I have to show you this tweet over here first. I absolutely love this tweet that they made. Here it is. It is. Wait, this one over here. There we go. The caption. I said the caption. It says from Trump War Room, our newest ad just dropped, and literally they just put the interview. That's it. Our newest ad just dropped. So she's getting crushed. Donald Trump up to 58.4%. But what I want to say is, whether she wins or not, honestly, it's not going to make a difference. It might have an initial knee-jerk reaction towards the downside if she does win, but overall, I do believe the markets will continue to go up. Remember, these are incredibly irresponsible people, and now I'm getting into politics. I'm not someone that ever wants to get into politics, right? They say if you want to keep your clients happy, don't talk about religion or politics, right? So I don't want to relieve any or reveal any political agendas, but the point is that even if they win, as an irresponsible party, which we've seen before, they'll probably print even more money than Trump would, and consequently, our risk on assets will go up even more. Okay, so cool. We've got that out of the way. A Trump win would probably mark the local top for this aggressive BTC dominance trend. True that, right? True that. That is from 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓. And part of the reason why is because it shows that there will be a massive sentiment shift where those sideline people we spoke about in the beginning of today's show would feel more encouraged to move into the crypto market with less risk, because they know that Trump is a DJ and launching projects and NFTs. Guys, who would have thought? Literally 2024, who would have thought? Donald Trump, NFT collections, projects coming out. It's absolute. We literally live in a simulation. It's absolutely wild. So that's probably going to mark the Bitcoin dominance top at some point. And we know the election phase, right, is going to be, a couple of weeks to months. I can't remember exactly how long it lasts. I think it's a couple of weeks. So somewhere within the next couple of weeks to months, you should expect a Bitcoin dominance top. And when those sideline degens want to come back into the market, money will flow out of Bitcoin, move into the altcoins, and that's where everything flies, right? And then we're all happy, hunky-dory, and it all follows exactly according to plan, right? History doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes. And when it rhymes, it just means that the timelines are slightly skewed, but for the most part, it works out exactly as we wanted, right? So S&P 500, new all-time highs, Nasdaq slightly lagging, Dow Jones Industrial Average, new all-time highs, markets looking strong, resilient, everything is great. We need to see what happens with the unemployment numbers. Now, this will affect what the Fed does. We're have to still wait for that. That could lead to a hard landing. That's the one risk factor that we have, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. Coinbase also reclaiming the bottom side of the range. It's definitely a little bit of a wonky looking chart over here, very strange chart. Price action wise, in the sense that range low, range high, mid range, you kind of came back to range quarterly, and now you're breaking up. Like, just come on, bro, choose a side. Either go for the range low extremity and let me buy there, or just stop chopping about. So that's Coinbase for you over there. We have the DXY ripping, right? Absolutely ripping. This has been, how many days is this now? This is just pretty much straight up for 13 days. The magic number is 7, right? And if it goes beyond 7, you put on another 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens on the 14th day. I'm actually not joking about that. Literally, guys, you can go and have a look. Sometimes if it goes beyond 7, it goes for another 7 continuation. And then usually you don't get further than that with more upside. But it's pushing right into the zone. You're approaching the 200 MA on the daily. Let's see if you find a little bit of resistance over there and start to reject. At the end of the day, it's fine because Bitcoin is still holding up despite this. Previously, a move like this on the dollar would have absolutely wrecked Bitcoin. But this again shows you that the risk appetite is really starting to shift, right? Okay, another interesting thing. Let's have a look at Ethereum. The SEC's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF approvals have broadened investors' access to crypto. Okay, new article that came out from A16 Crypto. If you have a look at this, what's interesting about it is the numbers, right? So Ethereum, total on-chain holdings from the ETFs, 7 billion. Bitcoin, 58 billion. But if you look at this, what Victor outlines over here is true when you look at the ratios. He said, I found this slide the most surprising from the fantastic report. BTC market cap is 4.5 times larger than ETH, and BTC ETFs were around 7 months longer than the ETH ETFs. Twitter, or crypto Twitter, or X, led me to believe that ETH ETFs were doing poorly, but actually they're doing phenomenally well when you consider this as a ratio, right? So it's food for thought. It's food for thought that the narrative can shift, right? That's the main thing I want to outline. The narrative can shift very, very quickly when we just zoom out a little bit and we have a look at this chart. Well, you can see we're definitely approaching near the end of this ETH BTC fall, and we're obviously also approaching near the end of the Bitcoin dominance rally. And that means you're looking for the counter trade, right? So while the rest of the market is obviously fading it in the wrong direction, although I sold on my ETH, I sold it for something that I believe is a higher beta play. It's a meme coin on ETH, right? I sold on my ETH for MOG. That just means that when ETH BTC breaks out, MOG is going to go up even quicker than what Ethereum would. So it doesn't necessarily mean that at these levels, I'm incredibly bearish on Ethereum per se. Although if I were an ETH maxi, I'd be absolutely pulling my hair out following a literally just straight down chart for the entire bull run, right? You made no money. So the tides will turn. The tides will turn. While those tides turn, I have to show this to you guys because we're getting at that point of the market cycle as well now. Unfortunately, it's a reality. Opportunists will come along, right? Opportunists are not nice people. They're scammers. They are coming along. We're already seeing it, right? They're trying to infiltrate things like our Discords. They're going to be on Twitter. They're going to DM you. They're going to act like they support. That's one of the biggest and oldest tricks in the book, right? They mask themselves as somebody that's there to help you when you're confused about the market and you don't understand what to do. You have to be so careful, guys. This came in, this is yesterday. So they messaged us. They said that, not sure if you're able to help after 3 years of being in the space. I don't want to dox their name. I mean, I've already done that. Apologies to whoever you are. I've doxed your name. But they said, after 3 years of being in this space, I still managed to get myself massively scammed last night. I lost the vast majority of all my crypto funds, all my BTC, ETH, and Solana. It's $8,000. You know, for some people, that's really a lot of money. It's all their savings. They had it in their Exodus wallet and their memes in their Phantom wallet, 1,200 worth. They thought it was an official support ticket thread in curve.finance, right? In the Discord, but no, so it wasn't in our Discord. They were in another Discord. No, it was a scammer and they trusted them way too much, linking their wallets, trying to resolve the issue. And basically, gone. Funds are gone, right? Funds are with Safu. They're not. Funds are gone. Guys, please protect yourself. The easiest way to protect yourself is to have a final point where you approve transactions, right? That is a ledger. Literally use the link. Remember, we don't really get anything out of this if you use these links. We're providing you products that are valuable to you. It's literally the same price as if you were to go onto the Ledger website. The difference is if you do use the link below, you'll get $50 worth of Bitcoin on that ledger that you order. So you have to, guys, you have to protect your ledger. The important thing is, you might be doing a lot of DeFi things. You might be using your Phantom wallet. I gave you a lesson on the Phantom wallet the other day, as I was saying, don't interact with coins that you have never seen there before, that you didn't buy. People send coins, and sometimes it's an attack, right? Where if you click on that, it's going to drain your wallet, right? You could have a scam contract that's in there if you click on that. So be very, very careful. The good news is that when you have a ledger connected to your Phantom wallet or to your MetaMask, even if you click on a scammy contract address or something, it will still ask you to approve it. So usually you might click something and then you're like, oh my word, I clicked something, it looked dodgy. Only after I clicked it, and before you know it, you blink twice and all your money's gone, right? They start draining it immediately. Whereas with a ledger, that can't happen, right? Because you'd have to physically look at it and approve the address, and then you'd be like, no, something looks a bit strange over here, I don't know what this is, cancel. And they cannot drain your wallet. Please be careful, guys. I don't care if you don't use a ledger, use something, a Trezor, use something that's hard wallet related, that's a physical thing. That means they have to physically get this wallet in order to drain your funds, right? That's the one thing. The other thing is, of course, use a NordVPN. They are partnered with us as Banter, and on this one, you do get a great special, right? You're getting, for the price of one cappuccino a month, you would be able to get a NordVPN that will cover your IP address, right? Remember, the way a NordVPN works is it gives you malware protection, remote file access, it monitors your things and blocks the dark web. It masks your IP address so you can make it look like you're in another country, and that means that it will make your trading easier as well, right? We know what the centralized authorities do. So that's my quick rant on protection. Security is so important. I've seen every single cycle, I've seen this happen to people that work their way up. There's nothing worse than going through all the hard work, all the dedication, the hours, the trading. That time is irreplaceable. You work your account up to a certain point and then boom, rugged, absolutely gone. Everything got stolen from you. Cool. Anyway, let's move on. Let's have a look at altcoin requests. Move on to a more light-hearted note. And honestly, my heart goes out to any of you that have been hacked. Absolutely terrible. Take your security very, very, very seriously. Let's continue. So, quick look over here at CME futures. Let's quickly, I just want to go on the 4-hour time frame just to see what sort of gaps we're talking about over here. Do we have any gaps, right? Are there any gaps in the room? Any gaps in the room? You guys seen that meme before? So we had the gap that was down over here. That's around that 54K level. I mean, I don't think we're going to go back for that one. There's no gaps over here. Everything looks fine. Okay, cool. Let's go into the altcoin mix. Altcoin mix, Ethereum, ETH/USD. There it is. It's pressing into this region over here. We're really getting close. I'm just going to make that a bit bigger for you to see. We're really getting close on ETH/USD to breaking through this level over here. So you can see we already breached the first line. We're waiting to get through the second line. We will have a little bit of underside resistance coming in at 2,862. So keep an eye out on that, right? You could almost argue for a long trade over here already on ETH with a stop below Monday's low, given that recent move towards the upside. Okay, let's go through some of the other coins. TON still coming down over there. TRX still holding up, right? Solana rejecting from the top side of the range. Not too surprising to me personally. Let's quickly relook the fibs over here and just double check under the presumption that that is in fact a local high. Watch for support to be found over here between $146 and $149 for Solana. If you find support over there, that's kind of your buying zone, and then you're looking for the next move up to possibly take out those highs. Okay, Atom is still really nowhere, getting smashed. Cardano broke out of the falling wedge formation, coming into key support. Still has a lot of work to do to actually get moving. We have Sui over here, one of the darling childs of crypto at the moment. Very, very strong over here, still pushing towards the upside. Look, I wouldn't necessarily jump into this now unless I was dollar cost averaging. But for those of you that are still in it, I haven't taken any profits. I'm going to continue to hold this position in case things get really bonkers. In these bull runs, things can go absolutely nuts. Casper, right? Casper is getting into a really dangerous zone over here. I have to be honest with you. It's not looking good. You are holding support. It's diagonal support, which means it has less weighting. If it can't bounce from this zone very, very soon, we need to see Bitcoin start to break out. You need to see Casper immediately reclaim 14 cents. Otherwise, it's going to move. Its next stop down is going to be 11.8, right? 0.118 is the next stop for that. Okay. A0, okay, still consolidating all the way at the bottom over there. Okay, lithium, a little bit disappointing, not holding this level up over here, right? You know, maybe this is only a layer one for next cycle. I have a small position allocated as part of my portfolio. If it continues to gain acceptance under here when Bitcoin breaks out and it can't get above quickly, I'll probably cut the position personally. Right now, I'm still holding. We allocated a little bit into this region over here, but not a good sign that it's reapproaching back towards those lows. Okay, Polkadot, look, you're at range lows. This is what you'd want to see. You'd want to see it hold, move up towards mid-range. Not necessarily optimistic on DOT for the long term. I think they need to really reinvent themselves. There's a lot of work to be done over there. Okay, AVAX, also not much to comment over there, not in a great spot. Injective still holding up over here, still holding at the golden pocket. So definitely has a little bit of work to do, though, to get back above these key levels. But you're showing signs, right? Broke the downsloping trend line, which is also a falling wedge, hit the mid-range, rejected, coming back towards the range low over here. All of this would be a buying opportunity between, 17 and 20 for Injective. Okay, near, similar to Injective, very, very similar over here. Your buy zones on this is going to be $4.20 to $4.30. Say we're still in the long trade, we have eliminated the risk. We said if we get stopped out, we'll just re-enter, right? So risk is eliminated. Stops are in slight profit or / even break even. You might come back for that and then watch for the reaction, and you can possibly re-enter, right? Aptos reminds me a little bit of SUI lately because a lot of people faded this. We showed the inverse head and shoulders breaking out the right shoulder, started to load up over here at 740, and this one is starting to look stronger, right? Sentiment is beginning to shift, and that's what we're looking for. Hold this line over here, hold this level at 950. That's the reaccumulation zone, and then you'd be looking for higher prices and expansion. Okay, real world assets. Let's have a look over here. Okay, 𝗓𝗧. I think 𝗓𝗧 is one to watch for under the real world asset sector. This is also cross chain, but it's going to kind of nudge its way into the real world asset sector as a narrative. It started to reverse trend. You're pushing up into the top of the parallel channel. Pullbacks that come into 70 cents, I think, are going to be an opportunity for 𝗓𝗧. CPOOL also slightly pulling back, had a very, very nice move over there. What are the other ones over here? Okay, Mantra is still the strongest one right now, holding up over there. Ondo holding the range lows over here. If you get a sweep and reclaim, that becomes a buy. Sweep below 65, reclaim it. That becomes a buy opportunity over there. Okay, Rio. Let's move on. We already closed that position. That was the long trade. Let's go into some of the AI as well. Okay, just see how AI is doing. So AI, still not a bad play in my opinion. Here you have Octa. Watch as it approaches this trend line over here. That's one to keep an eye on. Okay, Akash, not so good. EOS also, that's the area of interest. We hit that level. If you come back and you get a proper sweep into the trend line at about 40 cents, that won't be looking too bad, right? That won't look too bad. Okay, XAI all the way at the bottom of the range. AITECH. Okay, we've looked at AITECH a lot as well in the sense it broke that downsloping trend line. You came into the horizontal and you've slowly started to form higher lows with a W formation, potential W, right? This could easily turn and start to move towards the upside. So we're going to watch and observe, anywhere within this region over here is probably the reaccumulation. It's also around the 0.618. They actually just came out, these guys, with, that's AITECH, with some information around announcing a debit card payment system where they're going to basically have no fees, debit card prepaid. So keep an eye on this as well as a narrative that could start to build when AI does actually run. I'm also seeing AI meme coins come up as a narrative, right? Render, here's your upsloping trend line for Render. Watch into this zone over here. If you can start to hold this, or you want to hold up above $5 essentially. There's your wick, that wick that came into there. You want to reaccumulate at this zone and maybe have the presence of an ascending triangle, which should head for higher prices, right? Okay, what else have we got? Guys, let me know in the comments. We will have a look at, your chart requests. I also want to mention there's, we've had a couple of picks in whale room. Let me quickly bring that up. We've had some really, really good picks over here. And I want to touch on this one particularly because it's building into a bigger narrative than I actually thought it would, right? So some of the strong picks that we've had, 𝗕𝗓𝗧, right? We called 𝗕𝗓𝗧 at 7 million. We called 𝗕𝗢𝗥𝗍𝒑. 𝗕𝗢𝗥 is doing really well. It's starting to make its way onto top influencers spreadsheets. So we put a little rocket next to those because it's done well. We also gave the Book of Ethereum. Book of Ethereum is up already 2x since we've dropped that trade over there. remember, guys, all of these things are dropped in whale room. But touching on that narrative over there, let's just quickly go back onto that. You had 𝗦𝗢𝗨𝗧𝗪's ARK has been with crypto Twitter for a long time. It looks like the new narrative ARK is picking up around 𝗕𝗢𝗥𝗪𝗧𝗪 now with 𝗕𝗓𝗧, right? So 𝗦𝗢𝗨𝗧 obviously creating a lot of famous artworks and animations and memes, which have done, into the billions. And now you're starting to see that shift to 𝗕𝗢𝗥𝗪𝗧𝗪. And it says over here, pretty significant stat, right? Just under 20 million in volume, 3,389 holders. You have 4,000, almost 400 Telegram members and 4,000 Twitter followers, right? So a lot of media coverage, a lot of big names that are starting to come out, right? And here's what the chart looks like. So looking really, really strong. We got in all the way down here at about $7 million market cap in whale room. Big push up on 𝗕𝗓𝗧 the fish, sitting at its holding. It's defending that $40 million level, 4,110 holders. Some talk about this like it's the next Pepe coin, right? Is it the next Pepe? I don't know. Here's FOG, right? FOG also looking good over here. This was the accumulation zone. We spoke about getting an entry into the purple box over here. And you can see it holding that, right? Starting to push towards the upside. This is the one making the spreadsheets, right? Of the likes of people like Murad are starting to notice this coin as well. So let's see. He has a lot of eyes on his Twitter, right? He's definitely got the biggest mind share at the moment. So those are just some of them. Let's see. Book of Ethereum. Here's Book of Ethereum, and here's your chart, right? Big move up. So we're looking at it down here. Big move up over here, over 2x returns already. All of this, guys, remember, dropped into whale room ahead of time. So if you're not already in there, please do join, right? This is where we drop all of the alpha. This is where all the memes get dropped. And all you have to do is sign up using the link below. Remember, this is going to be at least the price point is going to go up significantly. So if you join now, you'll be locked in at this as long as you remain in the Discord, and that's going to go up within the next 10 days, right? I think it's 10 days, right? On the 31st. The 31st is going up. Okay, let's see. 𝗪𝗡𝗓 super questions around 𝗪𝗡𝗓 super 𝗕𝗢𝗓. Let's have a look at 𝗕𝗢𝗓 quickly. 𝗕𝗢𝗓 just needs to reposition some of their marketing, in my opinion. I think it's got so much attention. You have people like Raoul Paul retweeting it. You have Michael Saylor retweeting it. You really have big names in the space, mass attention. But I think people don't know that it's actually a coin that you can buy. That's the problem. So hitting the range highs, the TA always works. We said really bullish if you can maintain above that level at 0.023, and bearish if you reject from that level, right? So you rejected from that level. I wouldn't say it's macro bearish. It's more just you now need to look for a high low or for support to be found somewhere around the mid-range, which is coming in at 0.01341, right? So that is for 𝗕𝗢𝗓. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look over here at what else we have. Let's go to 𝗪𝗡𝗓. So quick look at 𝗪𝗡𝗓. There it is. All right, 𝗪𝗡𝗓 still grinding down. So if you get into, anywhere between this 16, 17 region, I think for 𝗪𝗡𝗓, that's the accumulation zone. That's where you want to probably be looking for opportunities to be buying, right? Okay, what else? Super, how's Super doing? We did look at it yesterday, but let's just double check. Has anything drastic happened over there? Where is my Super chart? Why is it not on here? Let's just see. Super, am I really going to have to do this again? Okay, cool. Luckily, it's there. So Super broke above the top side of the range high. That's the level now you want to watch to see, is it going to backtest to the support, or you're going to get a deviation? So bullish if you do this and you hold it, and bearish if you get back underneath this and hold that level, then that's just going to be a deviation. And then you're trading it back to the bottom of the range, which is going to be 50 cents, right? Let's also look at a couple of the others in the gaming. So let's look at Prime, getting a bit of a move because I saw something over here. Let me just look for this. I'm going to give it to you guys now. There was some, here it is. Okay, is it this one? 𝗲𝗡𝗃 placed 2 long-term bets in Web3 gaming. And I think that some people are speculating that it was on Prime, right? So chart-wise, well, you came very close to the bottom of this trend line over here, high lows. You're breaking out. If you can get above and hold above 9, this yellow line over here, which is $9.09, 909. That's going to be the level to hold, right? Then you have a possibility of a breakout, and we've given the TP levels. TP1 is over there. If you can break and hold above that, then you're talking about possibility of $19 as the next zone. So first target, 14-ish, and then the next target at about 19. All right. What else have we got, guys? Drop them in the chat section over there. I am monitoring over here. Okay, MOG. Yeah, let's have a look at MOG. Let's just double check on MOG, see what's going on over here. Definitely one of the longer term bets. So let's just see what is happening on MOG, right? Okay, MOG looking decent. This is the area that I outlined. I said, if you're going to be looking for major support, I just put it in with a price label because MOG has so many numbers, it's too difficult to read to you guys. So I'd put it like that so you could screenshot it, right? So I said, if you're lucky, you'll pull back into this region over here. So if you do get a broader pullback with the whole market, that's kind of your zone. Price-wise, how far down is it? You would be looking at approximately from current price. That could be, 10 to 12% further downside. And that's going to be your major support for MOG. But again, I'll update you. We're going to do a live session later on Zoom for those of you that are in Whale Room. Join in over there. I think we're going to close it off over there, guys. That's it from me. We've had a long session today, 45 minutes. I'll see all of you on the next one. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. And cheers for now, guys. Bye-bye.